Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this first session of Meet Our Alumni session. I'm Heman Nyopane, and I lead outreach and admissions at NUTM Scholars Program. As you know, NUTM is an upcoming higher education university based out of Lagos. And we are sort of in process of offering programs in STEM field, right? And we have started with our flagship program. The flagship program is NUTM Scholars Program, which is a one-year full-time postgraduate program in design, entrepreneurship, and management. You also know that we have opened up application for the third cohort of NUTM Scholars Program, and the first round is currently in progress. Unlike previous couple of years, we have fees associated with the program this year, and we have generous scholarship to support that as well. The first deadline for the first round of application is 20th June, so try to submit your application before that. Without much delay, I welcome all our panelists and guests to this Meet Our Alumni session. For today, we have Arinze. Arinze is he's a scholar from the founding cohort, and he's currently pursuing his MBA from the Wharton School. We have Yemishi, and Yemishi, she's also the scholar from the founding cohort, and she's currently working with Future Africa. And we have Onyinye, and Onyinye, she's a co-founder of MyStash, and you all know MyStash is a startup, is a venture that has come out of NUTM Scholars Program. And along with me, I have John and Sanat. We are a part of admissions and outreach team. Before progressing with the conversation, there are a couple of things I would want you to keep in mind. We'll start with the conversation. Meanwhile, you can drop your questions in a Q&A section or a chat section, and we'll take it as it comes, right? So with that, let's move on to the conversation. Let me start. Let me give this floor to our scholars, and let me ask them to introduce themselves in a sort of quick and concise manner, and then we'll start with the questions we have for them. So let's start with Arinze. Arinze, over to you. Why don't you start with what you're doing, your background, and things like that.
Everyone, so my name is Arinze Onyenezi. Does this say Yemisi? I'll change my name.
I just did that for you.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Arinze Onyenezi. Born and raised in Houston. Did some boarding school in Nigeria for secondary school. I studied chemical engineering in undergrad and worked for ExxonMobil for about 4 years in Texas, in their chemical plants and refineries, primarily making plastics and rubbers. And then my last project was ExxonMobil's first asset in China, which is an ethylene cracker. And so I wanted to leverage my chemical engineering skills to build an ethanol manufacturing plant in Nigeria. Just growing up, I realized that Nigeria doesn't have either a secondary or tertiary economy, so I wanted to leverage my background to do that. And I came across NUTM by a friend who sent me the link because I made my ideas known and my passions known in my community. And they thought this would be a great opportunity. I looked into it. I saw the people on the board like Okay and Omobla Johnson, and also went to some of the webinars like you. And I was really hooked. I was really impressed by what I saw and thought that Nigeria would give me a chance, or NUTM would give me a chance to understand the business landscape in the country, and then also give me the proper connections and knowledge in order to understand how I can implement my desire. And I knew I wanted to do that before business school. So I put in my NUTM application, and then I also applied to business school. And luckily I got in, and NUTM was a great experience. And of course, we can dive deeper into that later on. Oh, now I'm at Wharton. I'm getting into venture capital and entrepreneurship. While I was at NUTM, I shadowed OK, so I really got interested into private equity, both in large scale buyouts, middle market, early stage venture capital. I just really enjoyed the investing aspect of entrepreneurship. So that's kind of what made me pivot into the more of the investing side.
Thanks, Arinze. That was really interesting. Yeah, over to you, Isichei.
Hi, I'm going to assume that that's me. So my name is Yemisi. My background is in accounting. So I did accounting at Pan Atlantic University, Lagos, graduated, wrote my ICANN exams, passed my professional exams. So I did 1 year at Ernst & Young, Nigeria. So I was doing financial accounting advisory services. But then I was kind of like looking for a pivot, because if you're an accountant like me, or if you study accounting, you know, accounting can get a little repetitive. So you might want to look for excitement outside of your career. So I was looking to like try something different. And that's when I came across like the NUTM application. I think my uni had like a very strong alumni. So they sent us the link to say, hey, do you guys want to check this out? And then I looked at it and I thought it was kind of interesting. For me, I didn't go into NUTM thinking I would come out a founder or trying to like build stuff. I actually wanted to go there to like get more experience and like upskill into like transitioning in my career. But then I got into NUTM and then it was like a whole new experience. So that was like my reason for joining NUTM. So post NUTM now, I work as a research associate with Future Africa, and Future Africa is an early stage venture fund. So we invest in startups at their earliest stage and help them to build and grow through it. NUTM was like really helpful, and it helped in like the pivotal experience, because now, whilst trying to be a founder at NUTM, now I work with founders. So it's easy to kind of like relate, and it gives you like that full on experience, because you've gone through kind of what they are going through. So it's easier to like empathize and like relate with them. So that's a short version of what I do now.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, Onyinye, over to you. Your turn to get it going.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Onyinye Oguego. So for my background, I'm probably university in Ghana. Afterwards, I worked in management consulting for about 3 years. And then I worked with the UN International Labour Organization briefly. And then lastly, I worked in a fintech company in Abuja before applying to NUTM. So I was a WIMBIZ mentee. So my mentor from the WIMBIZ program had sent me the link to the application and said, oh, she thought it would be really good for me, because I personally have a passion for Nigeria and the way that we could use.
I think we are losing you. You may try switching off your video so that your audio is clear. Hello. Yeah, okay, no worries. You know, by the time she's back, let's start with other segment of the questions, right? Both of you talked about sort of getting information from various sources about the young NUTM Scholars Program, right? But you were the first cohort, and it really didn't have any precedence. There's no legacy, and information about the program was sort of hardly available, sort of to the extent that would convince you to join the program, right? I mean, we're still very new. So what of the university, was it the sort of academic curriculum, or was it something else that made you join the NSP? And anyone can go first.
I think I'll go first. So for me, my uni, I was also like the second set to join. So it was kind of like going through another founding class experience, quote and unquote. So then I looked at it and I was looking at the substance, and then looking at like the people on the board. So we've heard about Omobala Johnson, and we think, okay, these are great minds, and like this is a vision that would want to chase. Of course, it did help that we're being offered free room and board. So it was easy to say, okay, let's do this, see what happens. And yeah, it's so like a very solid story, because then we watched the first video and it was talking about if you don't want to solve problems, or if you don't want to help Nigeria and your country, because it was like Africa worldwide, this isn't the program for you. So it was very catchy to say, hey, we're actually coming here to work on stuff that can actually have real impact, as opposed to like just running through a regular program and then going back to whatever it is that you were doing before.
Yeah, so Onion is back. Meanwhile, Onion, we were just discussing, right? There were several components of the NSP, and then we were really the founding cohort, and there's nothing much in the market, no precedence. But what finally made you join the NSP? That was what we were discussing. So Onion, over to you. What do you feel?
Okay. So during my introduction, I was saying that for me, even the way the application questions were formed, it showed that the school was going to attract people or who were very conscious about making a change in Africa, who cared enough, to do things that would impact Africa. And so for me, I was very excited about the possibilities of meeting 59 other young Africans who cared about the country and the continent. So that was one. I think secondly was the caliber of the people who were behind the idea of the university. So seeing the likes of Dr. Mobola Johnson, and then, it was just, very impressive that these are technocrats that are very respected in Nigeria, and then they had come together to build a school. So this is definitely going to have some sort of excellence in its DNA. So why wouldn't I want to be part of it? Yeah, so that was it.
Yeah, really interesting. What about you, Arinze?
Yeah, I would echo the same sentiments. I don't think there's anything really different. The board members really, I found really intriguing. I guess in addition to, or while I was scrolling the website, there was some video about, I think the founder of PiggyVest. That was one, it was high quality. And so I appreciated that, but it was also just how the founder was talking about the passion for Africa. I don't think it was necessarily about NUTM's program, because the founder hadn't gone through the program. But I think that was also something that I found compelling, was the fact that what NUTM was looking for was people specifically only passionate about trying to build Africa.
Great. So, Yemisi raised a very, very pertinent point, right? You guys with the founding cohort, we didn't have really sort of, anything to sort of back us with the program or results till then, right? But, since it was free in the sense that, there's boarding and lodging sponsored, and it made it easier to take sort of decision, right? But retrospectively, right, now you have been through the program, you have seen what the program is, it's offering, a pre-program and post-program impact. Now, retrospectively, if you were made to pay a fee, would you have gone for that? Just depending upon the sheer quality of the program. And anyone can take it.
I'm sorry, retrospectively, definitely, it would have depended on my pocket though, but yeah, after going through it, looking back and all the things that we're able to get, first of all, meeting the people that I met, like I would pay to meet them all over again, because then we formed this like really, really close-knit cohort where I tell people a lot that if I want access to somebody, I literally have a group chat that I can just text who knows this person or who knows where I can get to this person. And it's as easy as this, because somebody somewhere has some connection. It's the community I built, which was for me was like my most important part of the program. But then going on to like the academic curriculum, we got like classes from like the best of the best. And of course, we wouldn't want to pay for that. And some of these classes, because I'm an accountant here, so my core wasn't in science and tech before I joined the NUTM. It was about just expanding your mindset and being able to think differently from how you were thinking before. So some of it, I didn't obviously learn how to do all the equations and all of that, but then it was just thinking that it's possible. And now if I see something that looks remotely like what I learned in class, I can say, hey, someone is actually applying these things in real life. So yeah, I would definitely.
Yeah, okay. Getting to next segment, right now, you knew about the NUTM, NSP, and you are really convinced to join NSP. You come to an NSP as a founding cohort. Now you're in NSP, you're experiencing various components of the program, right? Now, if you have to sort of pick and choose between, various components of the program, what is that one component you'd really appreciate and you feel, really made an impact in your life? Just talk us through that, right? One component, and anyone can go. I think, Onyinye, you can start, and then maybe Arinze, and then Yemishi.
Okay, so yeah, so for me, while the program is divided officially into 3 parts, so like the normal academic curriculum, then you have the TED Lab, and then you have the shadow leader part of it. But when I'm talking about NUTM, I typically add the people, which Yemisi has spoken about largely. So I'll just skip to the next thing. I think the courses and the way they were taught. So we all saw ways in which, or examples of ways in which what we're taught could be implemented in like day-to-day living. I think TED Lab was also very helpful. My stash was founded from the TED Lab program. So the courses learned in TED Lab, and then the courses that NUTM offered as a whole was very helpful in building my stash, because then we could learn, as we were learning, we were implementing in the business immediately. So we learned product management, we learned marketing, strategy, and we were literally experimenting these theories that were taught in class on the business, and we could see the impact it made on the business. And it was very helpful also, because then we could go back to our teachers to say, oh, we tried this, and we can see that this is working, but maybe this other thing is not working, and then how we can pivot around it and things like that. So, I mean, TED Lab was extremely, really helpful. I think that was also helpful for those who, even if they weren't, using the project they were using during TED Lab, those who already had businesses. Well, I know that I've had conversations with some people who had businesses who have said that, oh, the class we had during TED Lab, or maybe no code tools and how you can launch without necessarily being a tech founder and things like that, being able to build your website yourself and all of those things have really helped them. And then the marketing class too was so phenomenal in building our business.
Great. So what about you, Arinze?
Definitely. I kind of alluded to this earlier, but in my purview, my most important experience for NUTM was definitely Shadow Leader. That's what really solidified my interest in private equity, because I came in with a slight understanding of it, because my journey was engineering, entrepreneurship, and then private equity investing. That's kind of how, and it was my engineering that kind of pushed me to be into my entrepreneurship goals. And then understand the entrepreneurship space and that people have to raise money is when I learned about investing. So that was kind of my journey. I've shadowed OK and Elama at an African Capital Alliance. Back then, they were working on acquiring a school in Umuahia. And so I was put on that project. I also joined phone calls with his investment committee and with the executives of the firm. So I got to see how OK led in a professional space, and how high-level business decisions are made. I got to see like crazy numbers of just like huge transactions going on in Nigeria, and just to see like the amount of influence that and change that has been happening like underneath the covers, and even like some things where like trouble is going on in Nigeria. But I just feel like that's a very like great space to like, to be able to have a pulse on the economy of a country, and be able to understand what decisions are going right and what decisions are going wrong, and be able to own the results of your decisions. Private equity is a space where if you make the investment, if it goes well, you do well. If it doesn't go well, then you understand you have to go back, review the tape, see what happened, and you get to make your own adjustments. So it's almost similar to entrepreneurship as far as when you have in respect to having control of the outcomes. So definitely Shadow Leader was the part I was looking forward to the most. It was where I got the most I guess that influenced me the most. And then also OK was very serious about the mentorship. We had one-on-ones every single week. We built, a personal relationship. We're on a texting basis. We call and text from time to time. So I think that was the most, and he's a personal mentor to me. And he really inspires me as far as his personal morals, his professional success, And so, yeah, so it's that Shadow Leader program was definitely very monumental for me.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience. Yemisi, what do you think?
Yeah, from my end, I'm going to stick with TED Lab. And funny enough, when I was joining, that was the part I thought I would hate the most, because I was coming in, I wanted to learn other stuff, but then I didn't take myself as like the one to build a business. So when I came, I was like, what exactly is this and what are we doing? But then it just became like my favorite thing. I had a great team. It was just the iterating and retreating for me, because then it was like, oh, we think this is going to work. And then you're like, no, it doesn't. So you go again. And then it helps to kind of like build spirit. And it helps you like, because when you hear no a lot of times, because we had to go out on the street, speak to a couple of customers. Some would say, oh, no, we don't think we need your solution. You should do it this way. Or when you do a pitch session and then Femi Longer would come and like tear your business model to bits. And then you'd have to like go back and think about that again. Like it was not like during the experience, it was kind of frustrating. But like retrospectively, I can look back and say, oh, this has made me like a much better, because right now, like I mentioned before, I'm speaking to founders and helping them work through their business models. It has made me a much better investor, quote unquote, because I can relate. And then like I know how to like navigate these things as well. Yeah. So TED Lab for me.
Great, very interesting, right? So, I mean, I think you talked about Femi Longer, right? That's a nice way to segue into sort of faculty and talk a little bit more about faculty, right? So there are faculty from in around the world, right? What was your expectation before coming to the NSP about the faculty, and how did it pan out? Who were some of the, sort of outstanding faculty for personally, for you guys? Yeah, anyone can go.
Onyinye, you're on mute if you were trying to speak, but then I think I'll just.
I was saying Arinze should go first.
Okay.
Arinze, to go first.
So I think my favorite faculty member was probably Dwight Jaggard for our leadership class. I think the class, the content, and the professor both I really appreciated. So this leadership class was helping us learn leadership from an introspective point or perspective, and I think I learned a lot about myself in that particular class, and I learned a lot about my classmates. And as Onyinye continues to mention, like the people is a very important part of the NUTM program, and really kind of any program or social setting. And I learned so much about my classmates, gained so much respect about my classmates. And we were both, after that experience, we're all able to lead each other and follow each other more fluidly. And so that was probably my favorite class at NUTM. My accounting class, funny enough, was also a very huge highlight of NUTM. I think Joshua, I forgot his last name, but he was a fantastic teacher. He was able to break down a very boring, no offense, Yemisi, field like accounting, and make it understandable and exciting to someone like me.
Yeah.
And in later interviews, I've had case studies where venture capital firms have given me like accounting-based, case interview questions. And if it wasn't for, my accounting professor at NUTM, Joshua, I don't think I would have had such a good handle on it. And so NUTM overall focused a lot on accounting. We had accounting in pre-term, we had accounting in the term. And so, but yeah, so I think the NUTM, the way they see the world and the way they structure the classes was good. And then they also got these great professors to back it up, which Dwight Jaggard was my favorite, followed by our accounting teacher. Do y'all remember his name? What was his name again? It was like, we just called him, was it Professor Joshua or?
I can't remember his last name either, but yeah, Joshua.
Yeah. Something like that.
Did you get a chance to meet Dwight Jaggard in UPenn?
I actually never reached out to him. I hit the ground running at Wharton, so I didn't. Yeah, I still need to do that. Thanks for the reminder.
Sure. Yeah. Onyinye, you were saying something.
No, I was saying that Joshua really made accounting interesting. Like the class was actually like fun, So that was something that was new. And for expectations, I did expect the best really, because I had always known about Dr. Mobola Johnson, and if just last 2 years I had known about Dr. K. So I did expect the best, and I was happy that I wasn't disappointed, because we had stellar professors, teachers. Yes, the leadership class it's amazing. It teaches you so much about yourself. It makes you, if you take the class seriously, it makes you introspect deeply and learn a lot about yourself that you didn't know before. It's very interesting, because you feel like maybe 25, 26, and I know myself, but then when you start asking probing questions, and why you act the way you do, why you do things the way you do, it was very amazing. And I think another course I really liked was Professor Wole Shoboijo, the science and technology class. That was very helpful, because then we saw examples of how science and technology could be implemented in actually making an impact in Africa. We had, and then we also had Efosa from Harvard, right? Yeah. So who taught us about creating innovation, and so those two courses were just like Missy said, it really opens up your mind to possibilities, right? So as opposed to just thinking, oh, why are we not opening more businesses to just help people, then you think about innovations that will actually help the target market. It was amazing. And just let me not start teaching you now. Well, yeah, Missy, please, you have the mic.
Yeah. So for me, I think my favorite was one of the ones that we had like a little later, and I think a lot of people didn't like it, but I did. It was ops. It was a lot of math, but then she brought, I think her name was Vera. She brought in like this perspective of like, of like using this simulation and this case, and like my team members were sick of me because I was up on it. Like the day she opened it up, I went there and I was trying to like iterate and like play with the numbers. So I liked that a lot, and I liked like the teaching experience of NUTM. It was more of show and not tell, and it was more of, we're not going to tell you what this means. Go in there and find about it yourself. So we had that with ops. We had that with another of my favorites, where we did African history. And he literally only taught us for like one class and the next. And he's like, hey, you guys go do your research and come back to me with like presentations of what you think on this. So he had like a long list of like stuff to read about, and then you come and teach it to your classmates. And I really liked that experience, and especially that course itself, because it taught me so much about Africa and why sometimes we act the way we do and how we can be much better. And it plays into like all the other aspects of our lives. So you're in the market as an African founder, people are going to approach you differently from guys in the West. How do you ensure that you're holding your head up high? How do you ensure that you are providing the value that you say you will, and not come from a place of inferiority? So all of these things like add up and then add into your entire journey.
It's quite interesting. It's taking me back to my sort of days, and then just dropping a truth bomb, right? I was taught by similar faculty like yours. So I was taught by Dwight, Kenwin, and Pius, and people like that. So it really takes me back to my fellowship days as well. So now this brings us to sort of a point where I would want to ask another question, which is, if you have to do NSP all over again, right? What different would you do? I mean, how would you do it differently, or you do it the way you did it the first time?
I can start with that. Because I think overall, I'm not going to say I did this poorly, but I think there's always room for improvement. I think I would have built more like tight-knit relationships with more people at NUTM, like more of my classmates, more faculty if possible. So I think that's the most important thing. And I think it's hard, right, to build quality and quantity relationships both in high volume. But I think that's what I would have like probably tried to index more on, is to try to see how I can build stronger relationships with my classmates, whether it's like, hey, going out for lunch with them. And I think NUTM does a good job by breaking people up into groups, into different groups, so you can get to, get touch points with, as many different people as you can. Which, one touch point, it helps to get that initial, contact, but, it's still up to us to kind of be intentional about developing those relationships after that touch point. So that's probably what I would have done more on, whether it's students, whether it's professors. I wish I had a strong relationship with Professor Soboyojo. That was a dope class, our science and technology class. I loved it. He turned us into these research scientists, in 3-4 weeks. And we were learning deeply about nanotechnology for cancer, drug delivery, learning about solar energy, product innovation and deployment. And so it was so that was a dope class. And I wish I wish I had him on a phone call basis where I could just pick his brain or ask him certain questions about certain innovations, but I don't. So I wish I would have built strong relationships with my classmates and also faculty and staff.
Great. Yeah, anyone can go.
First of all, I wouldn't have done it in COVID year. So that's because apparently this new batch got to have in-person sessions with FOSA, and I think that would have been really cool. So for us, we had to take most of our classes, through our laptops and all of that. So that kind of sucked sometimes. And I think I agree with Arinze that I didn't for the meeting people and connecting people. I think that was why I was there. I was doing school, but I was probably hopping from room to room most of all. But then I feel like I could have taken more advantage of office hours, which I started doing too late into the program, because at the beginning we were we had all this brain fatigue. We were doing so much at once that once class is over, you're hey, I don't even want to see my professor's face anymore. I just want to get some sleep. Yeah, but I think it would have been better to leverage those professional relationships, because Arinze said, the way we have it easy now, being able to text our classmates and say, oh, I have this problem, what do you guys think? I would like that kind of relationship with some of the professors that we had, to just hit them up and run ideas by them. So yeah.
Great.
I'm going to agree with Yemisi and Arinze. And I think generally as scholars, we could have done better with regards to our social life. I know we started out with so much energy, and we had groups and interest groups, and we were having what was it called?
Our Congress, is the Congress, People's Congress.
Yeah, Congress. I think we started that too late too.
But we also had the social committee.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The committee.
I wasn't sure whether the Congress was over the committee or whether that was separate. We were just on vibes, but
vibes indeed. I think Onyinye is frozen for a bit too. So
yeah. So I think that's a nice culture, right? I think I worked with that community, social media community, something. Got to learn a lot from scholars, and I'm not sure if they got to learn something from me or my team, but yeah, Onyinye, you're back.
Yeah, so I already wrapped up. Yeah, so I think it's just amazing. At the end of the day, the connections that we have amongst ourselves.
Okay. So we talked about NSP in a way being a fairy tale, nice experience, lot to sort of go back and sort of think about, retrospect, and do many things, right? The faculty program, the social life, and many things, right? There are always some challenges associated with the program, right? When you are in the program, and one that I have heard from some of the scholars are there's a triangle, right? And in one vertex there's social life, in the other vertex there's sort of academics, and on the third vertex there's sleep, right? And at any point in time, you can only sort of touch point two vertex and not the third one. So I'm not sure if that's the truth or it's just the sort of narrative going on. But for you guys, what were some of the challenges that you faced during the program, and how did you overcome that? Just speak us through that.
So I would say I agree with them. I would just add an additional bucket. I think for me, and also in business school, is similar. And it's very interesting. I will also say this too, at NUTM, I heard rhetoric of how people felt like what NUTM was doing, either it was too rigorous or there's just too much going on. And you know, and maybe since it was NUTM's first time doing the program, like they didn't have the credibility, or like students felt like they had the right to say like, okay, this school isn't doing it right, and it's because it's their first time. But honestly, I'm in business school at the best business school in the world, and it's the same thing. There's never enough time to do everything. You always feel overwhelmed. And so the three things I would obviously say that like I have to always juggle is career life, academic life, and then your social life. So those are like three things. I think they kind of mentioned social and academic, but like career is also another thing. And that's where like shadow leader comes in. They say you're not supposed to recruit or work, but other people are realistically recruiting and or working for other companies. Maybe not recruiting, maybe not working, but many people are recruiting, right? Because it's not just when you graduate NUTM that you start looking for a job, right? It's actually during the program, you're actively looking for a job, is how I think it's supposed to be done. So those three things were like the three things that I had, but I just wanted to like mention, like add that additional bucket of career. And I don't know if anyone else wants to chime in and answer the question. I'm happy to go first though.
Yeah, I would
so
like both of you to go on.
I want to, I'm not sure I heard you clearly. Your question was, what was the most challenging part of NUTM? Is that correct?
Yeah, what were
Okay.
some of the challenges you guys faced?
Sorry?
Yeah, pretty similar. What were some of the challenges you guys faced while you were in the program?
I mean, I think that the challenge was that at some point it was really intensive. We had like, back-to-back deadlines, project deadlines, assignments, tests, exams, all of that. But I mean, like Arinze said, that's really how life is, right? At every point in time, you're going to be juggling different balls. So even if you're not in school, if you have a family and then you're working, and you'll always be managing different things at the same time. But for me, I think that you give time to what is important to you, and then if you decide to prioritize certain things, then you're able to do it. Well, I mean, it was very rigorous at different points, but then.
Yes, she's frozen again. Yemisi, if you can just go.
Yeah, so for challenges, I know we've talked a lot about like school and stuff. Like, I don't know, I'm not going to say I was very unserious because I don't think I was, but then there was still like the aspect of
yeah.
Oh yeah, we lost you.
Continue.
Okay, so
yes, I know. Carry on.
Okay, so for me, it was more of like adjusting to being in the room with so many great minds. I wouldn't say like schoolwork was my challenge. I like Jai, so I always used to make time to like have fun and take care of myself. But then it was more of coming into a class, and we did have that challenge for the first 3 months, and then you're not the only smart person in the world. And then sometimes you think about it and then you start to feel less and feel like an imposter. That's the fancy word, like the imposter syndrome. So you come into your first class and there's like so many people that know so much about a lot of things. And then you're thinking, did the admissions team do right by like picking me? Because I don't feel like in place here. So that was a challenge for a couple of us during our first few months. But then you start to understand that everyone knows a little bit about something. Nobody knows a lot about everything. So of course you get your times where you feel down or feel less, but then it's up to you to like stand up and like say, hey, I was selected here for something. That means somebody must have seen something that I have or something that I can do. So you have to like set your mind to say, I'm not going to think these limiting thoughts. I'm not going to continue to have them, and I'm going to work with what I have to grow. And I think that was like the best thing for me. I could see the growth from when I joined to when I left. So yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So,
sorry, go ahead.
No, please go ahead. Yeah.
I was just going to agree with Yemisi. Imposter syndrome is definitely something that we all faced. And mind you, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Yemisi is also our valedictorian and also gave a speech at our graduation. So if she's feeling imposter syndrome, who am I? All right. So Yemisi is extremely brilliant, but she's also feeling that other people are brilliant, right? So So we all felt that. And so, yeah, definitely imposter syndrome is something, trying to juggle everything. At NUTM, I didn't have like my prerogatives explicitly like listed out, but what I learned in business school was that like what people say is that try to focus on 2 out of the 3. It's almost like your strengths and weaknesses. If you know like somewhere is a strength, you like, is your strengths that make you a superhero is what Dwight tells us. And then the weaknesses, you work on them where like they're good, where they just won't, you know, hamper you or like, you know, slow you down. So I kind of indexed on social and career, and I worked on the academic side. There are certain classes that I really wanted to learn, whether it was microecon, macroecon, accounting, and then there are some classes that I make sure, you know, if I get a B in the class, I'll be fine, right? So as far as the amount of studying I put there, I would have to either like decide that I would probably go see who I can meet or see what learn more about like the people I'm putting down on my shadow a leader list to really like get that narrowed down. So I think it's in business school, they always say like, you know, pick 2 out of the 3 because it's going to be extremely difficult to be great in all 3 areas.
Yeah, great. So before taking in a few questions from our attendees, do you have any suggestion that you'd want to go give for the sort of aspirants who are looking to apply to the NUTM Scholars Program? Any suggestions, advice, things they should look forward to, anything you'd want to share with them? Yeah, Yemisi, I think you're going ahead. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I'll just start from like your application stage up until when you get in, because I know that there will always be a lot of questions about, well, what did you put on your application? Nothing special. I just did me. So you talk about stuff from your experience. You don't need to embellish. Like that's never the right way. Talk about you. Why do you want to create an impact so much? You don't have to like bring things from space or be more than who you are. You can ask Debo, who's our admin's manager. Like I had the goofiest videos ever. Like when I was creating my video compilation for why I wanted to join in the NSP, I just put like a couple of stuff and talked about me. Like at the end of the day, people will see through whatever fence you try to build up to build this kind of person if you're not. So just talk about yourself, talk about how much this would mean to you and how this affects your trajectory or how this program can help your trajectory. And if you do get in, focus on your community always. Collaboration over competition. It's something we need to figure out in Nigeria. It's something we need to figure out in Africa. It's a team. We're not there to compete. Nigeria has enough problems that everybody can build. It's not a competition. Everybody just needs to focus on what they can get out of the next person and then just build like this mega team of people that are going to cause change. So yeah.
Yeah, Arinze, do you want to chime in and share something?
Like, so advice for the application process?
Yeah, just for the aspirants, right? Any word of advice, any suggestions?
Yeah, but yeah, definitely as Yemisi said, just be yourself in your application. I'm sure you all have done like amazing things. And actually, I think we all have done amazing things. It's just about sitting down and thinking about them and realizing what you've done. Because sometimes you've done cool things and you haven't just sat down to just look at what you've done and whether it's the one life that you changed, or the way that you've taken care of your parents, right? So we've all done amazing things as humans. We just sometimes have to think about how to write that down and put that in perspective. So I would say just spend time to think about your experiences in and outside of work. And then in the program, I would say, you kind of get imbibed in the competitive atmosphere and like see it as a good thing. So for example, in the competition. So for example, Onyinye is a founder of MyStash. My company for TED Lab was called Synergy. And we were all close friends, but we're also like enemies, not enemies, but like, we were, I guess, friendly competitive, right? Friendly competitive enemies. So
healthy competitors.
Yeah, friendly competitors. And so I really appreciated that. And we both recognize that, right? We both recognize, hey, like we're down to help each other. But we're all like we're also working our hardest to make sure that we win in the TED Lab competition at the end of the year. Right. So I think that was just a beautiful dynamic to understand, to see how like we're like, if they need either like customer discovery, I think I was one of the first customers, right? Giving them feedback. I was like, hey, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks, right? But like they'll go back and fix it, right? And that was good. And now I have nothing to say. I was like, oh, pretty good. But yeah, so I thought it was a beautiful dynamic to just get, you know, engrossed in the like in the competitive environment, but not have it weigh down on me. But see that we're actually here to build each other up, and that's actually how it works.
Absolutely. And I think Yemishi touched on one very important point, right? I mean, you almost at times feel like, you know, was I accidentally chosen, or what's the process, you know, that goes in behind so that I'm here. I think that's just to give you an insight, right? The admission process for NSP is really, really well thought out process, right? I mean, you'll hardly find such process anyway, you know. And Arinze has applied to Wharton, and he's in Wharton, you know. He can talk about that, and many other people, you know, who apply in different programs throughout the world, right? They can talk about it. There's a lot of thought that has gone behind the application designing, you know, a lot of money that has gone, and you know, it has been done in a way that we not only see your one part, right? We really holistic observe you and get to know who you are more than, you know, what you have done, and so on and so forth, right? It's really who you are, what do you want to do, where do you want to go, what are your aspirations, you know, how do you want to reach them, and how you feel NSP can help you reach those aspirations. I think, you know, the bottom line, if you are able to answer those questions from your experience, from your sort of, you know, thinking through what you have done so far, I think you'll end up doing a good job with the application. It's my saying. Okay, so a couple of questions, you know, regarding the interview process. So someone asked, how was your interview process? Just you know, just give your experience. How was your interview process? What were some of the questions asked, and how did you tackle? Because in the interview process, you are interviewed by, you know, at least two people, right? One who is usually a board member, and the other, you know, someone from the admissions team. So how did that go, and what would be your suggestion to these sort of aspirants looking to apply for the NUTM Scholars Program?
So I remember having OG no, I think there was another lady.
Nidhi?
What's her name?
Nidhi?
No,
Nidhi?
I think her last name was like Ososo or something like that. OG.
I'm not sure. Akanksha Gulia?
No, I had a Kanshan okay for my second round, but I think I think I had Debo at some point in time. I had Debo at some point. I think did we go through 3 rounds? We went through a lot of rounds. 2. Okay, so I know I had a Kanshan okay, and that one where I felt grilled. Okay was like the good cop, Akansha was the bad cop. Akansha was like, I don't believe you. I don't believe you at all. But yeah, so I think I had OG for another round. It was pretty much an interview to just try to understand like your motivations more. I think they really just care about your why, and really want you to really articulate to them. And I think the whys are very important, right? These are the reasons why we do things, and it's going to help us get over like the tough times and the humps. So at least that's a great thing to know, that everyone in the program has a very unique and important and deep reason as to why they really want to, you know, innovate for Africa, or you know, or do things that like. So yeah, so my interview process was, the first one was really relaxed and laid back. I was in Texas, so the time difference was kind of, you know, jarring. So my second interview, I wasn't really as like alert. And so, but I did send, so there were some answers I felt like I didn't give well enough. So I also sent a clarification email for a certain answer. And so they happily took the correction. So I think they're not against you, right? It's not like they're trying to weed you out. They actually are. The fact that they call you makes is a sign that they're interested in you. And so just be relaxed and feel confident that they're trying to help you and get you into the program.
Yeah, Yemishi, can you go?
Yeah, I remember I had after the application, I had a telephone interview with Ragini or so. I'm not sure. Then I had the telephone interview. I don't know whether there was an assessment and a second interview, but yeah, my telephone interview was pretty good. It helps when they can't see your face, so you can plan and prep. But then your final interview, I think I had mine with OG and OK. And like for me, and I don't know if this is just particular to me or everyone else, almost all my interviews feel like I'm cruising because it's basically a lot of talking about yourself. And like I tell people, like, I can't go wrong talking about myself because it's me. They're asking me about me. It's not this other person from outer space. So that's always my general advice. Like, just be you. We talked about my interests, the things I like doing. I think I told okay that I liked Instagram shopping or something as casual as that. Like, obviously, I'm not saying you should under prepare because then there were questions about my why, like Arinze said, like my background, why I did what I did, why I did the courses I did, who inspires me. And then the question that I love the most when they asked me if I was to solve any problem in Nigeria, what would it be? And immediately I go electricity. Immediately I go, I want 24 hours light. So and then you're then able to justify your answers based on your experiences. So I don't think you should be nervous at all. People are just trying to get to know you. And like I really said, they're actually trying to help you through the process and they're not like trying to weed you out. So yeah.
Yeah, Onyinye, your experience, do you want to share with the aspirants? How was your interview experience?
It was very similar to Yemisi's. I was interviewed by Akanksha and Owari, I think. I can't remember her name clearly.
Yeah, Owari.
But for me, yes. So me, the favorite part was when it was, if you had to fix a problem in Nigeria, what would you fix? I just went, it was like, don't get me started. And I just, started ranting on all the different issues, how we could fix this, how we could fix that. And for me, a personal passion is like, let me just get there. But yeah, so for me, that was the best. And I think that was something that I would think that was a winner at my interview stage, because when I talk about Nigeria and how we could solve different problems, the passion, I can't even take it. Like, it's just there. I just get so perplexed. And I don't even think I spoke about myself much. I just really spoke about at least my experiences in Nigeria and out of Nigeria that shows that things can be better in Nigeria. And then I just went through, we continued along that route. So yeah, it was really easy because then it was, right up my alley or something I was really passionate about.
Yeah, really wonderful, really insightful. And I mean, I really enjoyed this conversation. I feel like, should I apply to this program and come to Lagos and do the program for a year? But yeah, I think before we end this session, I have one sort of, personal question for all of you. And let me start with Onyinye, right? So my staff is doing fabulous. You guys are doing great, and we are really proud of the work you are doing, and really we look forward to you doing much better work, right? Just want to understand, did the NSP experience help you with my stats? And do you think my stats would have been where it is without NSP, or the NSP component sort of lifted it? Just talk us through that so that we can understand what do you sense and what do you feel, and our viewers can also sort of get to know more.
And what was the last sort of question?
No, so my stats doing really great. NSP, did it help? How did it help? If it helped, if there's no NSP, do you think you'd be where you are right now with my stats and so forth? Just all those things.
Okay. All right. Okay, but first of all, just for those who don't know my stats, I'm just going to shamelessly sell. So my stash is a personal finance management platform which allows users to save more effectively. So we have a save as you spend or save as you earn model. What that basically means is that for every transaction you can save on it. So it's like paying tax to yourself for every transaction that you make. So please go to www.mystash.ng and check it out. Okay. So where will my stash do that? First of all, the co-founders met through my stash. We're a team of four co-founders. Two of us already knew ourselves. So Debo and Bryce. Thank you so much, MSC. So Debo and Bryce already knew themselves, and they decided to, create a team that they could speak about problems and how we can fix it. So before we started the course officially in January, we already had a WhatsApp group, and through that WhatsApp group, we had already created just a team of 4 of us just talking about problems within the agri logistics space and things like that, how we could fix it. So first of all, I'm just, without NUTM, we wouldn't have even met. And like I had said throughout this program, for me, the most important thing was the people I met. And so I met my co-founders through NUTM. And so on starting the idea, it was very helpful, the people within the program. So our classmates and then the faculty, Debo Odunlami, oh my goodness, like he was so helpful, from like even being one of our early testers, helping us to just iterate and make sense of our idea and like the bigger picture, and then even using his personal contact, like helping us to get like the right people to talk to, the right people to have questions, ask questions and things like that. And then Femi Longe, who is the facilitator for the TED Lab, was also very helpful. We had so many of his hours with him, like when it wasn't convenient. He made the time to hear our idea out, and just help us in, being able to understand our market. So like Emi mentioned, a lot of customer research, just going out to the market, to the beach, just roadside, asking people questions about, money-related questions. And then we come back with our learnings, we're able to share the learning with a wide range of people who then help us on the next step to take, or how you can then inculcate the results you're getting into your business. So NUTM was very, very helpful. And so personally, from things I was learning from NUTM, I was also helping my friend who has a business in Ghana. And when we used to have bi-weekly conversations and updates, and I was telling her that, I just learned this thing in school, which I think that, will be good for your business. So I'm just saying, I've seen how NUTM helped my friend who wasn't even a part of the program to improve her business, until today she's just like, that course was really amazing. Because imagine if, you were there at that time, I don't know what I would have done with my business. So TED Lab was really, really amazing. First of all, I honestly think that they would have been in my stash without NUTM, because first of all, we wouldn't have even met. Our paths would most likely not have been crossed. And then if our paths did cross, we probably would not have been in a situation where we would think about solving that problem together as a team. So yes, thank you. Don't forget.
Yeah. So I'm just just to give you an insight, sort of this thing, right? And then at times I was looking after TED Lab and then sort of I was behind the scene of sort of presentation and then sort of closely observing the teams. I think my stats was a solid team, right? You throw any questions, they had some answers, or they look forward to sort of, getting those answers and next time come back with those answers. I'm not sure if I'm offending Arinze and Share Energy, but they had a solid team and and they did really great. But yeah, now over to you, Arinze, right? So NUTM Scholars Program and then Wharton, right? So did your NSP experience help you in your application? Did it help you sort of getting settled at the Wharton School? How did you rate this experience, and how did you feel NSP helped you in your sort of post-NSP career?
Yeah, thanks for the question. But to address the first point, no, my stats are a credible team. They beat us in the new venture competition. But that was also part of like that friendly competitive aspect to it. But to answer your question, yeah, NUTM helped me in multiple ways. I think there are many ways in my Wharton application that NUTM made me stand out. One, just being part of a program that many people aren't a part of, right? At this point, there's been 2 classes with about 60 people, so only 120 people in the world can say they've been through this experience, which is very niche. And I think NUTM also helped, I guess, crystallize to the Wharton administration team that I am passionate about what I am writing about, because they always say show don't tell, and I thought I heard that. So it wasn't the fact of me just saying I'm passionate about Africa, I'm passionate about startups and helping startups, but the fact that I did it. I left my job and went to Nigeria to really get in the weeds of my passion. So I think NUTM helps solidify that. And also my school plans trips, and I think there's also part of my application I mentioned is that I want to work together with like the NUTM staff to see how we can like do some trips, whether it's like having some of the Wharton students come over for either a Christmas break or a spring break. But I guess Nigeria's geopolitically is just not in the space for that right now. But yeah, so But yeah, so I think those aspects of just like having ground roots in NUTM or in Nigeria via NUTM is what I think made me help me stand out.
Thanks, Arinze. So Yemisi, right? I mean, there's a Twitter tweet on you and your team from Future Africa, openly and publicly sort of saying that, you guys are doing great at Future Africa. But tell me, was NSP experience helpful for you? What impact it made for your post NSP career? How do you rate this experience?
Yeah, so NSP was really helpful in actually getting me my current role, because a lot of the work I do now is data related. And of course, we had the whole data class from, honestly, when I was even doing my application, I reached out to one of our faculty, like from data class, and I'm like, hey, think through this with me. So that was just like one of the like plenty options. And then with what I'm like, it gave me like the whole founder/funder experience, which is what I apply in my role at the moment. So great, actual tangible lessons that I can carry from NSP. Like now, if I'm looking at a deck, I'm thinking, what would Femi say? And then sometimes you can just look through and say, this probably will work. You need to talk to the founder about this. And, you can help them like reshape their business model, or even as little as making their pitch deck look more attractive. So all of these things that came from NSP that are helping me now. And like, just to like put it out there, we're basically like building out an NUTM team at Future Africa, because now, like, you can say like Twitter's about me, but like now there's Eunice, there's Aisha that's from NSP, have also joined at Future Africa, with my coaching and my help. So we're building like this tiny NSP team within Future Africa. And yeah, so it's great.
NUTM Mafia.
Exactly. It just says that something is happening right at ASP that is just creating this pipeline for more people to like come into the force. So yeah.
And then for all our audience who don't know, so Yemisi and her team was lauded openly by the leadership of Future Africa on a Twitter, tagging NSP. So hats off. So yeah, with this, I think we come to the end of the session. We have already overrun the session by 8 minutes, and I'm really sorry for our panel sort of member. I'm not sure if they wish to continue more, but I think we have done a great job giving our attendees the insight of what NUTM life is about, post-NUTM, pre-NUTM, how do you prepare for NUTM and things like that. So really, thank you for this session. And if anyone has any closing thoughts, over to you guys. And then with that, we'll close the session.
Yeah, if you have any other additional questions, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. Arinze Onyenezi, you should be able to find me.
Yes. Okay, and then you can also write to us at nsp.admissions@nutmng.org. And we are also active on social media. You can also post your queries on social media. With this, we come to an end of the session. Go forward and submit your application before 20th June, because we are getting a lot of applications. The earlier you submit, better better the chance you make it to the class. So just go and hit that submit button. With this, really thank you for our panelists for making out time from the really hectic and busy schedule, to speak about the experiences. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You're welcome. Bye.
All right, guys. Bye. Have a great day.